What's up, guys and gals, and welcome back to the Nerd Castle. Today in the world of indie games, we're going to be checking out Warpips. We covered this about a year and a half ago when the game came out in early access. If you've never seen this game before, it's an extremely explosive strategy game with some very, very light, I don't even know if you could call it roguelite elements, in all honesty. I don't even think I'm going to bring that into it. Ultimately, this is a game where you play through a campaign. You build up an army, and you have different loadouts where you can deploy different units, and effectively what this game is at face value is a tug-of-war game. Every single map is a linear strip of land, or like a bridge, or a desert, or whatever, and you're trying to set up choke points and basically push the enemy back far enough to surge and get to their base and destroy it. It's a very, very refined take on strategy. It's very fast-paced. They give you the fun toys fairly quickly. There's upgrades, and there's money, and there's kind of resource management in between the missions, and I think that the game is a really, really good time. So the game is out now in full release 1.0. Let's take a look at it and see if it's something you wanted to add to your wish list. If after watching this you did indeed want to check the game out, there's a link for you down below in the description. Aside from that, you can also find a link to my Twitch stream and my Discord down there just in case you wanted to hang out live. That spiel all out of the way. We've got about 25 minutes to kill, so let's go ahead and dive on in. I've got a game ready to go right here. And I've played a little ways in because I know the last time we played the game, we started from the beginning so that you could see the process of how the game opens and the storyline and everything else. The general storyline to the game is very tongue-in-cheek. They don't really give you much more than like a paragraph blurb, basically saying that these people don't like freedom. And that's really what it comes down to. This is where the general kind of mid-between mission game plays. You've got a number of tabs up here. You've got the map. That's what we're currently on. Basically, you can only invade tiles that are adjacent to tiles that you already control, and you start out with a base on this star right here. The ultimate goal is to get to the enemy's flag, although there are special nodes around. So, for example, this one right here gave me an extra life and a whole bunch of goodies that I could play around with to maybe make myself more successful. And that's really one of the first fundamental decisions in the game, is that you can't clear the entire map. I mean, for the first level, you definitely can, but clearing the entire map, every single time you complete a mission, the enemy's army strength goes up. And so really, it's kind of a time-cost analysis between, like, how many of these places do I want to take in order to get the rewards that I need in order to take on the boss fight without accidentally tipping the enemy's strength too high. And so every single tile is going to give you a synopsis of the enemies you're going to be fighting. So just as an example, if we were to go to this tile right here, we would have to deal with sniper towers, we would have to deal with shotgunners, we would have to deal with warfighters, which is basically just a generic AK-47 guy, and then we'd also have to deal with war mules, which are covered transports that dump a whole bunch of soldiers all over the battlefield and take a long time to destroy, and they kite you and they try and stay away from you and generally make themselves a nuisance. But in exchange for taking on this challenge, we're going to be given 2 sandbags, 1 shield pip, we're going to get 2 warriors, and we're going to get 1 base defense turret. And so that's what I mean. On top of that, you're also going to get combat coupons and you're going to get warbucks. The arms dealer is where you're going to spend your combat coupons. Every single day there's going to be different offerings on the store that will give you extra cards that you can add to your loadout, basically, or extra tiles, or whatever you want to call these guys. The army building is important. You do kind of want to look at what the enemy has, and you sort of want to mirror that in a way so that you can hard counter them. In general, in this game, you need general soldiers to kill off other general soldiers. You need snipers to kill other snipers. You need vehicles to kill other vehicles that are heavily armored effectively. And so you kind of want to look at their lineup and decide what you want to do. There's also upgrades, and these persist in between missions. So as of right now, I've bought 2 upgrades with my warbucks. I've given my soldiers, my infantry, I've given them body armor. And then I've also increased my supply logistics so that my unit cap is higher at the beginning of a starting match. I'm probably going to take another stack of that right there because that'll save me a whole bunch of points, and it'll become readily apparent why in just a minute. This game is very much all about resource management and knowing really when to burst your opponent and when to kind of like hold back and keep a shoestring crew to thin them out. Like, it's all about looking for openings, basically, to dive on into the enemy's territory and take all their stuff. What does this do right here? Turret rifled barrels. Oh, your turrets have better accuracy. Okay. Well, I'll probably save the rest of my warbucks for future expenditures. Let's go ahead and take a look at our loadout. And in fact, let's start off with something fun. Let's start off with a boss fight. That sounds enjoyable to me. So the enemy has Tanya, which is obviously a Command & Conquer reference. She's a special unit. We're going to have to deal with that as we play the game. In addition, they've got barbed wire, they've got landmines, they've got sniper towers. this is definitely going to be a headache, so we kind of want to spend a little bit on this one. We could do a tow turret. It'll blast their vehicles. But let's start out with the basics. I'm going to bring foot soldiers, obviously. I'm going to bring some logistic soldiers. These guys right here, they have kind of like a bullpup rifle. They will occasionally fight, but their general job is to sit in the rear with the radio and call in the doc. And so what they do is they call in artillery strikes periodically. I would also like to have snipers on this one because they seem pretty infantry heavy on their build out. And then to assist in the fight, I think I'd like to have an oil derrick. I think I'd like to have a RA-52 rocket, and I think I would like to have base defense turrets, and then we'll kind of like save everything else. Because like you don't want to use up, like these things are used up permanently when you use them, and so until we can buy a new one in the store to replace it, or until we get them as a mission reward, these things are gone once we put them inside the hotbar right here, and once we deploy the mission. So just things to think about. Like there is kind of a prevailing meta to this game, and there is actually some depth there, even though this is basically a spectacle RTS. Let's go ahead and start the game. Okay, so here we are. Operation 8 Spectrum. The enemy's goal is to kill our base. Our goal is to kill their base. Let's get on in there and let's see if we can take care of this thing. The game has a fantastic soundtrack. It very much channels the energy of like the music that Frank Klepacki was making back in the early RA days. The Red Alert days, that is. Okay, so they got a bunch of landmines over there. We've got a little bit of money. We started out with some points over here. Let's kind of talk about what all this stuff is while the game is paused before we get into like the nitty-gritty of it, because I'd like you guys to understand the mechanics so that you can be as informed as possible if you decide to make a purchase. So basically the way that this functions, we have an XP bar. Every time an enemy dies, we get XP. Every time we max out this meter, we get promotion points. Promotion points can be used in a number of interesting ways. A lot of your elite units and a lot of the units that are like advanced units, you cannot deploy them until you pay a certain amount of victory points, basically. So what you can use victory points for, you can use them to increase your unit cap, which is listed right here. You can kind of see it through the menu. But anyways, you can pay victory points to increase your unit cap. That allows you to deploy more guys to the battlefield. You can use your victory points to upgrade this button right here. What this button does is it just flatly allows you to trade your victory points for money. This is a very risky button, and it will affect your, in a long, extended fight, it will matter how much you have pushed this button in order to get lots and lots and lots of money. And so for short fights, this button is fantastic and will allow you to steamroll the enemy very quickly. But on like a longer, more protracted fight where the enemy's putting up a lot of resistance, button is not quite as useful, but you can upgrade it so that you get more money for each victory point that you throw into it. This right here is unit promotions. There are 2 levels. When you put 4 victory points into this, it will take all of your units up to tier 2. Every single unit has a separate tier 2 and a separate tier 3 upgrade. They do different stuff. So for the basic soldiers, it just handles the basics. When they level up once, they get a bunch more armor. When they level up twice, they can shoot further, and then they become more sturdy and robust. For things like snipers, they start to deploy their own cover, and they'll have other things. For our logistical soldier, it means that they'll call in airstrikes faster. And it's important to note that this upgrade is universal. Once we dump 4 points into this, every single unit on our bar upgrades to like tier 2, and they just get their abilities. Aside from that, there's 2 more buttons down here you need to be aware of. There is the turtle button, and there is the attack button. Now, this game is an auto battler. You have no manual control over what it is that your units are going to be doing. Once you deploy them to the battlefield, they kind of just take cover and fight and advance at their own discretion. What these buttons do is they give you a limited amount of influence over that. So these will charge up with time when you don't use them. And when they charge up, if you have like a particularly sticky enemy wave that comes in and you're outnumbered, you can basically click and hold down this button right here, and it will give your guys a fat range buff and a fat defense buff, and it will force them to all scramble to cover, and they will hold for as long as they possibly can, so long as you hold that button down. This one is the opposite. It puts you on the attack, and so this is how you kind of like get in there and seize the initiative when the enemy has like a hole in their strategy. Like if you see like that golden pivotal moment where you can really gain some ground, this is the button you push because it upgrades their movement speed, it makes them more accurate and attack more aggressively for the few straggler enemies that may remain. And so you've got to kind of, like I said, push and pull. Push and pull. That's this entire game. So they've got enemies coming on in. I'm going to go ahead and spend my first allotment of cash on just warfighters. I would also like to put down a base defense turret right there. There we go. And I'm actually in control of this turret right here. That's one thing to be aware of, is that I'm in control of this guy. So I'm going to use the base turret to maybe kill the sniper turret, because the sniper turret is a giant risk to my units. And so the more damage that I can put on... Oh, we got 5 upgrades. Nice. So we'll put 2 in right there. We'll put 2 in right there, and then we'll get a little bit of money. And I'm going to call in a logistics guy real fast. Is my gun no longer overheated? My gun is fine. There's the artillery strike right there that our logistics guy called in. Gun's not done overheating just yet. We'll go ahead and upgrade our units. I like to get to tier 2 about as fast as possible. That's just the way that I play the game. I would like that. I would like you to go away, please. Come on. Until that sniper turret goes down, we have, like, nothing. Yeah, let's go ahead and auto-cannon these guys down for a minute. There we go. All right, so they've been auto-cannoned down. That allowed us to gain a little bit of money, and we've upgraded our units to tier 2. So they're going to be putting up a lot more resistance now. There's an enemy hero approaching. Let's just fire a ballistic missile at these dudes. We've got 3 ballistic missiles to deploy. That first one was kind of like meh. Didn't really work out so great. Man, that sniper is causing problems. Some more units in there. Enemy hero is coming. We want damage on the enemy hero as much as possible. Okay, enemy hero is still up, unfortunately. We will launch a missile at what we can launch a missile at, and these guys are going to have to turtle. At least until I get some money together. Get back on the turret. She's got to be close to dead. There we go. We got her. All right, so the enemy unit has been vanquished. The turret's just going to have to hold for a minute until we can get some money together. That's pretty much just like the short and curlies of this situation. Normally, you don't have manual control over most of the aspects of the game, but as of right now, I do, just largely due to the fact that, like, I got to use the turret to thin the enemy out. All right, so it looks like they've really brought in a lot of sniper towers. I can't say that I'm in love with that. I need money. There we go. Give me, like, a nice human wave here. Give me something solid that I can play with. And then if I can just knock that thing down, that would just be fantastic. There we go. We got 1 sniper turret down. No wonder our units were going down so fast. They got 2 sniper turrets back there. Filthy. You hate to see it. All right, so we're getting a little bit of cash back right now. I'm going to go ahead and take a little bit more money because this wave is going to die. We're going to launch a missile. The missile, I don't know if it actually hit anything. There we go. Missile did okay right there. Let's go ahead and populate out our fighters. Unfortunately, we have no cover in this area right now, which is obviously going to get costly. I'm going to use that victory point to unlock my sniper, because I do feel like the sniper will be useful. I'm going to start using the autocannon to mess with that turret right there, because it's causing headaches for me. I just can't get across this bridge until the turret's down. Okay, we'll kind of thin out this wave right here so that I can, like, save some money. Wow, this base defense turret is, like, really powerful, man. It's pretty good. All right, give me some units. And we'll let that cool down for just a second. Let them overextend their vehicles. That's fine. This is going to be a heavy phase right here. You can see it on the timeline. And so we just kind of got to outfight them for a minute. We don't really have much of a choice. We'll turtle them up real quick because that is a large mass of bodies. And I'd like them to have the defensive bonuses. We'll go ahead and we'll try to get in there for, like, hey, they got the sniper tower. All right, we are a go. Now's when we really want to push. Launch a missile at them. Launch a missile at them. There we go. Okay. The bridge is cleared out. Kind of. Fight from the bridge. Oh, they got the truck, too. Good. That should thin out their spawns a little bit. Give me another logistics guy. I didn't even deploy my snipers, but the snipers are so badass, dude. They have like little ghillie suits, and they hang out in the backfield way back here, and they just snipe dudes that are all the way across the map. It's actually kind of filthy and disgusting. Like, they're really, really good. Give ourselves a defensive buff, and persevere. Push, 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 push. Oh, there's landmines. Oh, no, dude. Okay, there was landmines all over the place right there. Launch more missiles. There we go. Looks good. We've got a little bit of money. Let's go ahead and recharge ever so slightly. I would like to get the oil derrick up and running so that I can get some extra cash. We'll get the logistics guy up. I'm going to need to shoot these dudes. I don't have a choice. I got no money for units. There we go. And he's helping out a little bit. There we go. Get the heat down ever so slightly. Call in that airstrike, please. Yeah, I would rather not lose my oil derrick right now. I just deployed it. Like, it's got to be down long enough for me to make up my resource cost. There we go. All right, let's get some soldiers back up and running. Population's looking good. We've still got a logistics guy in the middle, which is great. Let's work towards tier 2 units real fast, because they are actually putting up a pretty beefy fight right now. This turned into like a longer ordeal than I thought it was going to be, but I get the feeling that that's the way it goes with a lot of wars. All right, so we're going to clear them out the best we can, get into defensive mode, just kind of machine gun those cats down. We'll get one more unit deployed. Go ahead and give me a rocket. If you can hit that Jeep, that'd be the best. There we go. All right, we should have a good push right here. Keep going, keep going. Come on, give me that big W. There it is. And so that was our first boss fight right there. And as you can see, the game is intense. It's got great sound effects. I love the fact that they've replaced the gunshots with just pure tracers, so you really get kind of like that Star Wars feeling of the epicness of the battle with all the tracers flying through the air and there's guys dropping everywhere. I think they've got like the perfect amount of blood and gore inside the game where it still remains comedic and it just doesn't become over the top. I'm actually a big fan of the visual presentation of this game. They did a really, really good job with it. We got 85 Warbucks and we got 11. Oh, we got nothing for that one. Never mind. Okay. I thought we were getting resources, but nope. We've captured our first island, so there it is. We are victorious in the theater of war. They have now taken us to the second island. There are 2 strong points over here. Ew, they've got RPG guys. Okay, well, we've got auto turrets over here, and we've got Warpips over there, and tear gas and smoke grenades. Smoke grenades you can throw on friendlies, and it'll make you less likely to get hit. If you throw them on enemies, it blinds them and means that, like, they have trouble firing and everything else. The gas grenades over here, these tear gas grenades, they slowly do damage over time to anyone that's standing inside the gas cloud. So if you've got a big wave coming and they're forced across like a fatal funnel or a choke zone, you can just block that entirely with a tear gas grenade and it will kill everything but the heavy units. This is a pretty standard fair lineup right here. I want the small turret though. The small turrets are great for seizing ground. So I'm going to take the small turret pick right there. I'm going to... Let's go Warfighters. We'll go Pips over here. We'll go Sandbags just in case we need cover. And we'll do Suicide Drones. That sounds good. I don't think we're going to need too heavy of a loadout in order to get through this mission. The enemy, I don't know. They don't have heroes. They don't have tanks or anything. There are tanks in this game. Like, there are full-on, like, Shermans. And there are APCs, and there are all kinds of stuff like that. And so if you like playing around with fun mechanized toys, infantry, all that kind of stuff, there's a lot to like in this game. I'll be honest with you. There's a lot of fun things to play around with. All right, give me a strong first wave. We're going to go ahead and put down sandbags where we can to provide our men with cover. Their first attack wave is looking pretty wispy. I'm not that worried about it. I mean, ideally, if they could knock out that truck nice and early to save us some spawns, I think that'd be good. The vast majority of our soldiers are going across the bridge right here, which means they're going to get chewed up by barbed wire. That sucks. Wish that was not a thing that was happening right now, but they're going through the double barbed wire down here, so unfortunately, they're going to have a really, really bad time. Do we have any cover over here I can deploy? We are taking a little bit of ground, but we got sniper turrets coming on in, so they're going to get dropped pretty quickly, more than likely without even dealing any damage. Oh, he got a couple of shots off. I'll take it. It wasn't a lot, but it was something. The camera controls with W, A, S, and D, and all of the action controls with your mouse. You can zoom in, zoom out, get kind of like an eagle eye view on the action if you want to. Let's go ahead and we'll get like an airstrike guy in here just to see if that helps out a little bit. The airstrike guys are pretty good at self-preservation as well, and like staying actually out of like the thick of the fight. I would like to get a little bit more mileage out of my units, so I think upgrades are in order, like grabbing ourselves tier 2 units. Probably mean that our pushes would go a little bit better. I do have murder drones, but they don't really... Can I murder drone that? Yeah, it looks like I can murder drone this guy right here. Murder drone that thing. I was going to say, the more murder drones we can deploy, the happier I'll be. I don't know how effective they are versus buildings, but any damage is sun damage in the case of this game. There's our tier 2 units. Unfortunately, I think our radio man is going to go down. I don't think he can get near the sniper tower fast enough. Yeah, he almost got it off, but he didn't quite get there. We got a big enemy wave coming. We have to deal with that momentarily. Their guard tower is now down thanks to the suicide drones. Thank you, suicide drones. I needed you. I'm going to grab a little bit more cash right there, and I'm going to let them advance a little bit. I'm not going to worry too much about defending myself. I'm going to let the economy pile up and basically just send, like, I'm going to try to get them to overcommit their jeeps. And once they overcommit their jeeps, I'm going to spawn everything. Okay, there we go. Nice little airstrike right there. Unfortunately, there's no way to tell them to, like, go slower and disable the barbed wire that I've seen so far. Wish that there was, but unfortunately, there ain't. We have a little bit of a dry period right here where we can fight. I would suggest that we hurry these guys up and try to get them across enemy territory as fast as possible. There we go. There you go. Hit them with the speed. I want to see you guys put on your boots. There we go. We got both of the jeeps with the drone strike. Good, 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 good. Now push. I think this is our opening right here. Otherwise, we're going to have to defend against another wave, and I just don't feel like it. So you guys put some real money shots on that thing. See if you can get us out of here, and there it is. The big victory day. Okay, a little bit of cash, a little bit of upgrades. I'm really excited about that small turret right there. Those turrets are fantastic for, like, pushing out, and when you get defeated, you drop the turrets, and they hold the line until your units can kind of leapfrog up to the line of scrimmage again. Very, very useful for that. This over here, we get a rocket guy? I kind of want a rocket guy. This is one of the new units that was added with the 1.0, the Scorpion Pips. They've got a Scorpion missile launcher that they can fire at helicopters and jeeps and stuff, and I actually kind of want to try that out. I want to try it out real, real bad. Missile launchers are the coolest. We'll go ahead and bring you along. We'll bring you along. I'll bring a barbed wire along. Why not? Although I do think that the drones did really well last time. Like, I feel like the drones did fantastically well. Like, I was really pleased with the drones' ability to snipe things like towers and whatnot. It made life a lot easier. It was pleasurable. Soggy, what was that one? Soggy bathroom? I would like to see a little bit more variation in the maps. It seems like there's a River 2 bridge crossing. There's a river, like, single bridge crossing. There's an open desert. I don't know if the maps become more varied once you get further on into the game, but sometimes you do kind of get the same map twice in a row, and I do think that that is a little bit of a bummer. We'll go ahead and boost that up. We'll go double money right there, and we'll just do a strong first wave because we're trying to farm up some XP to get these points moving. Luckily, we don't have to deal with barbed wire or anything else right now, which is great. I'd like to put down barbed wire right there, just in case they break through for whatever reason. Okay, grenade launchers got those dudes up there. Everybody's in cover. Everybody's fighting the best that they can. We do have some upgrade points. I'm going to let them stack up for a minute so that I can spawn an entire wave and upgrade all at the same time. So they kind of get that double whammy of a difficulty wall when they decide to push up against us. Lots of environmental destruction going on. The game is, like I said, it's a spectacle game. Like, this is one of those games where it's very easy to get caught up just, like, staring at the awesome stuff that's happening and all the carnage and all the destruction. All right, so the enemy's firmly in cover right now. They're trying to break through the bottom side. I would say give me another barbed wire right there, and we'll see how it performs. We do have 3 points ready to go. right, so I got to spawn them, unfortunately. I was trying to hold out. I was trying real hard to hold out, and I was trying real hard not to spend that money, but I had to spend the money. We should have our Tier 2 upgrade really, really soon. These guys are still fighting the good fight up north. Like, they held that point for a long time. I'm actually kind of impressed with how long they held that point. Good for you guys. We're going to take the Tier 2 upgrade right there. Very nice. That should make our soldiers far more effective. Maybe get one of our radio guys in here. A couple more soldiers. And now I'm just going to upgrade my unit cap real fast. I think we're going to need more soldiers to really break through. Although this map is kind of interesting in that it's pretty much one giant raid period until we get this clear period right here. So I think this is actually a map where we sort of just have to weather the storm for a little while and hold out. So we got into enemy territory long enough to fortify and get barbed wire put down all over the place, which I'm pretty happy about. Basically, I'm going to let these guys die, and then we're going to push really hard. That's pretty much where I'm going with this. We'll put down a little bit more barbed wire for some of these enemy advances, just to make them a little bit weaker before they get here. But yeah, making it to their base is going to be tough until I get my unit cap up. All right, get the units going. I was going to tell them to hold, but I guess they did okay. Oh, it's like a 2v whatever down here. Yeah, you guys hold for a minute. Don't go anywhere. Stay exactly where you're at, because that big southern wave, half my guys broke off and went north. And so we need to kind of like hold this spot for a minute. There we go. All right, now you guys can advance. Now you guys are good. You're good, you're good, you're good. Let's get on in here. And it looks like actually 2 more came to join. Very nice. Let's keep this wave nice and strong. We have 2 advancement points. I don't know what I want to do with those. I guess I'll probably put just into XP. I mean, XP is never wasted. Like, you're always working towards, like, a new tier of unit, basically. That is one thing I would like to see, is I would like to see the units actually individually upgrade, so 3 separate sprites. Basically, a Tier 0 sprite, a Tier 1 sprite, and a Tier 2 sprite. And even better, if you actually had the option to spend Warbucks to get custom sprites that would go in those tiers as you do certain achievements and things like that. Just add some replayability to the game. I think that would also be a really, really cool addition. Okay, we're doing all right. We're not there yet, but you guys really need to kill that truck, though. If you don't kill that truck, we're going to have a bad time. Give me another big wave right there. So anyways, having spent a couple of hours with Warpips, now that we're finishing up our offensive rush, so what do I have to say about Warpips? Well, with my time that I've spent with Warpips, I've played for a couple of hours. I think that the game plays to its strengths. And in all honesty, I think that's why the game plays well. It plays to the things that it's good at in a very efficient way. Like, if you're looking for a game that's going to have the tactical depth of a StarCraft or a full-fledged competitive RTS, I think that with this title, you're going to be a little bit disappointed. But that's not to say the game is bad. In fact, it's very, very good. The pieces they have in place work, and they work well. Like, my time with the game has been entirely bug-free. Not a single bug seen so far. The performance has been great, no matter how many explosions and how many things are dying and how many things are getting killed. It's been running well, and visually the game is really pleasing to look at. The soundtrack kicks ass. You could tell, like, whoever was in charge of their soundtracking, you can definitely tell that they're a big fan of Frank Klepacki and some of the earlier Red Alert game soundtracks. There's some Hell March vibes that just kind of, like, emanate off of a lot of the tracks. The sound effects are crisp, clean, and they accentuate the visual action very well, and I haven't had any popping or cracking. Even in the midst of, like, crazy action, there's been no clipping on the high end when the game gets noisy, and so that's often a thing that happens when the game is trying to load a lot of different shaders and explosive effects and things like that, is you can get kind of like a little crispy effect going on. It's fine. The options menu is a little bit sparse, but the game does support a lot of important things like support for controllers. It has toggles for things that I strongly dislike, like the camera shake and the camera wobble. And of course, just in case you're thinking about getting the game for like a kid or a younger player, there are settings to disable and enable the gore too. There's a wide variety of units available in Warpips, tons of them. There's armor, there's aircraft, there's artillery, there's turrets and tons of different flavors. There's classic shoot 'em up, bang bang infantry guys with all kinds of weapons happens, and I think this is where the game really shines. I have yet to find a unit in this game that, like, sucks or is outright terrible. Every single unit has a place and a thing that they do, and that thing is useful. You might not be a fan of the particular strategy tune that the unit is playing to, but in the end, they're all animated and designed in a punchy, bright, and enjoyable functional way. The upgrades are a nice touch, and this is one area where I think the game could have probably had a little bit more depth. I would have liked to have seen them go a little bit deeper with it. So there's about 20 upgrades that you'll unlock during the campaign, and that's perfectly fine. It's a nice thing to have there. But what I would have really liked to have seen is some of the ideas from, like, StarCraft 2 folded in right here. So what I mean right here is that, like, most of the upgrades end up being flat passives to your entire army that just make them, like, faster or shoot quicker or more accurate, things like that. They don't really shake up or specialize the units in creative ways. Upgrades that make you choose, like, for example, what I would have liked is, let's say you go to upgrade your heavy machine gunner. I would have liked it if there was a particular tab for every single unit or a particular thing for every single unit where you've got to decide whether you want your heavy machine gunner to be a full dedicated heavy machine gunner and he, like, shoots faster and he doesn't have to reload quite as much. Or you could choose to convert your heavy machine gunner into a heavy flamethrower, where he's got to, like, close the gap, and now he can fire a cone of flame, but he's going to take a lot of damage getting up to, like, that spot where he can wipe out, like, 30 guys at once. In the case of Rifleman, I think it would have been cool to make you choose between, like, a fully automatic rapid-fire soldier, or you could downgrade his weapon to, like, a semi-automatic Garand rifle, but the character would throw grenades more frequently, so you would get a little bit more of, like, an AoE splashback in exchange for the DPS that you're losing by, like, downgrading his weapon right there. And I think that would have made each run feel a little bit more unique, especially if that choice was, like, locked in until you spent a certain amount of warbucks to respec or change them back to the loadout that you wanted. I think that would have added a little bit of replayability, just trying out all the different unit variances and whatnot. And so anyways, I'm kind of a fan of the idea that talent trees should be, like, meaningful. I don't mind if a talent tree is small, but every single thing you put a point into should, like, drastically change the way a unit or character plays, if that's going to be the case. And I would have liked to have seen a little bit of that flavor in the game. Obviously, that would have been tougher to balance, so I get why they went with all passives when it comes to the army upgrades, but it would have added a neat layer to play around with. Other than that, though, I don't really have any complaints, and honestly, that wasn't even a complaint. It was just an observation. The game is great. It's a lot of fun, and it doesn't really have any of the problems that I've come to expect from modern gaming. It's slick, it's clean, it plays fast, it gets you directly into the action, it's easy to learn, it's got a little bit of a difficulty curve in learning when to push and when to pull and what units to bring that'll keep you a little bit stimulated, and if that doesn't stimulate you, all the explosions and suicide bomber drones and all that kind of stuff will. My name is Splattercat. I sift through the pile every single day to find what's worthwhile in the world of indie games so that you don't have to. Today up on the chopping block, we had the 1.0 of Warpips. Tomorrow, we will have something else. Thank you for hanging out with me and patronizing me with your time, and I will see you all tomorrow with something hot and fresh off the indie skillet. Bye, everybody.